In order to access your email for the first time, this could be in your home computer, in your office computer, or any other computers on campus. Once you're logged in, you'll need to click on Start, and then click on Email under Microsoft Office Outlook, or you can go under All Programs, and then Microsoft Office and Microsoft Office Outlook 2007. Once the application opens for the first time, you'll need to click on Next once, and then click Next one more time, and then fill in this information: the email address and the password. And then once you have completed all the 4 requested fields here, click on Next, and everything will automatically be configured in your computer. Again, this could be for your office computer, or for your home computer, or another computer on campus. General Outlook 2007 components once you are logged into Outlook. On the very top, notice that you have the different menus, very similar to the previous menus in the older applications, like File, Edit, View, Go, Tools, and so on. And right below it, you have a quick toolbar. And notice that if you hold the mouse on any of these icons, the description for that specific icon will be displayed. Then, on the very left, you have the Mail section. This is assuming that you are clicking on the Mail tab here on the very bottom. By the way, notice that there are 3 or actually 4 or so many different tabs in the bottom here. You have the Mail component of it, and from now on I will refer to these as the components of Microsoft Outlook 2007. So you have Mail, and then you have all the different folders for your Mail folders. Here's where you have all the different messages, the titles of the messages and the date it was received, and the content of that message. Then the next component here is calendar component. Notice you can view the calendar in a day view, week view, month view, and so on. The most common one I would say would be the week view. Notice in the week view, in the very bottom of it as well, you have the different tasks for that specific day of the week. By the way, if you need to go to today, there's a button here on the top where it says go to today. I wish they would have put it somewhere in this section, however that's where it is in this version of Outlook 2007. Then the next component of Outlook here is contacts. And contacts, this is integrated, of course, email, calendar, and contacts, and to-do lists, etc. So you can keep track of contacts in Microsoft Outlook as well by clicking on New, and then you fill in all this information for the contacts, and I'll cover those in more details as well shortly. And further down, another component is tasks. This is where you can enter tasks by simply typing here and then hit enter. And then the description of the task will show up on the right hand side of this little window. So again, to summarize it, you have the mail, calendar, contacts, and tasks components of Outlook, and depending on which task you choose or which component you choose, then the Windows setting changes accordingly. Notice as well on the right hand side you have the to-do bar. This is with a little calendar, upcoming events from your calendar, and then below here it's the different tasks. On the mail section, since we are in the mail section at this point, notice that the inbox folder, this is where the new messages will show up. That is listed under the main entry for mailbox at the same level as the other folders in your inbox. So notice you have the drafts folder, which is a common folder in all mailboxes. The inbox, anything for the new mail coming in. Junk mail, this is any mail that will classify as spam automatically. And then you have outbox, outgoing messages, and additional folders that you may have created. Sent items. this is where the copies of messages sent out will be stored. Note that you can also add a folder to make it a favorite folder by simply right-clicking on the folder and choose Add to Favorite Folders. And then that specific folder will show under Favorite Folders listing up here. If you want to remove it, you right-click on it and choose Remove from Favorite Folders. Reading new messages in Microsoft Outlook. All new messages will come in the inbox folder, which is listed under your mailbox. This is slightly different from what you're used in Thunderbird. Also, the new messages will be on the inbox under favorite folders. It is the same folder. Notice that at this point it shows 3. That means that there are 3 new messages that have arrived at this point. You can click on the message and the contents of the message will open on the right hand side of this window. By the way, you can resize those windows as needed. And for the sake of the recording here, the window is pretty small, but in your computers it should show up a little bit wider. Another useful component, by the way, to move the components, to move a message from the inbox to another folder, it is just a matter of dragging that message to a specific folder and then letting the mouse go. Another nice feature in Outlook 2007 is that you can click on the mailbox, on your mailbox, and it will give you an overview as to what's happening today on December 28th, 2008, for example. Under calendar, you have all the upcoming events for today, and then for Monday as well. And then you have tasks, and also messages such as new messages, inbox, and outbox, and so on. And you can choose to customize this according to your liking as well. Creating new messages in Microsoft Outlook. In order to create new messages or to send mail using Microsoft Outlook, you first need to be in the mail component of it, and then click on New on the left hand side, top left, and then under the 2 you can either type the email address, or you can click on 2. 2 will display the address book that exists in the Microsoft Exchange, containing a listing of all the addresses and distribution lists, etc. We'll cover this a little bit more in detail later when we get to distribution lists and so on. However, this will work only for internal addresses. So the 2 here displays only the Microsoft Exchange addresses and address books. So if you're sending it to somebody outside of PBU, you need to type in there the external email address. And then, different from Thunderbird and so on, in order to separate between email addresses, you have to use semicolons. You can put in the CC field, then the subject, and then the content of the message as well. Notice that very similar to Microsoft Word, you have the new tab or the Office ribbon at this point for composing messages, with the copying and paste section of it, with the font section, and address books, and attaching files or attaching other items as well, attaching calendar options, and so on, checking spelling and so on. Keep in mind there are additional tabs here as well, such as under Insert, where you can insert the attachments, same component that we just saw in the previous tab. Then Tables, very similar to Microsoft Word, this is exactly the same components. Pictures, I'm sure you have seen this before, but it's notice the contextual tools just like in Microsoft Word, with all the different formatting features and so on. And then under different options as well, where you can have the BCC show the blind copy. That will add a button to your menu here. This is how you actually enable that option. Then once you're done with the message, you can simply press send, and this message at this point will be sent. Keep in mind there that as you're sending a new message, you can change the font, change other components as well as needed. So as you see, it's very simple and quite powerful with the different options. And keep in mind again the options from Microsoft Word as we have discussed before. A nice feature in Outlook is also message tagging, where you can specify or you can categorize different messages into different categories, and you can create specific colors for those categories as well. And here's how it works. Basically, suppose you have a bunch of messages, and some of those are work related, some of them are personal, and some of them are vendor related or prospective students and so on. So what you can do is you can right click on the message and then choose categorize, and then under category by default there are these blue category, green category, orange, purple, and so on. However, what you can do is you can click on all categories and you can change those specifications. So you can rename them. So let's say the blue category here, we can rename that to be the prospective students. And then the green category would say work related. Orange category, you can change it to personal, etc. You can create, of course, additional categories as well, and shortcuts, so you can automatically, by pressing Ctrl F2, for example, it would mark something as personal when we have selected that message. Now, once we have changed our categories in the message and choose categorize, and notice how you have at this point the different categories that we just renamed a moment ago. So let's say this message, I want to categorize this as work related. Then this one, I want to categorize it as well as work related. And this one, I want to categorize it as personal. Notice that each one of them at this point has a specific color assigned to it, and it gives you also the category under the details of the message. You can categorize a message also by clicking on the categorize button on the toolbar, and you can specify the correct category that you want to categorize it. Remember, by default those are just the names of the colors, and as I mentioned earlier, you can click on all categories and change those names to whatever you want them to be. Another nice feature is that you can actually take a message and create a task out of it. So let's say this message here for TechSmith, which is the recording software, I can create a task to contact them in regard to a licensing issue, let's say. So I can right click on it and choose follow up, and you can mark this to follow up tomorrow, today, next week, or no date. So what it's going to do is, if I say next week, it's going to add it here under the to-do list as another item for this item. So by simply right clicking on the message and choosing follow up, I was able to add it as a task for sometime in the future. So if I go to tasks, now one of the items here is the Camtasia task. An easier way to flag something is by also clicking on the follow-up button on the very top here on the toolbar and specify when you want to follow up with this. By the way, if you have completed one of those messages and it's complete, you can click on it to mark it as complete. Click on the little flag and that will be marked as complete. Creating new folders in Microsoft Outlook. Basically, as we discussed earlier, the inbox folder is where all the new messages come in, and the drafts folder is if you want to save a message that you're not finished yet with it. Then the junk mail is where the email classified as spam will be listed, and then outbox is mail that is just about to be sent out or in the process of getting sent out. Sent items is the outbox or the sent mail or copies of messages sent. Train good and train spam, I'll discuss those in a moment. Those are for training spam and training the spam filters. So suppose you want to create a new folder. All you have to do is you click on the mailbox, you right click on it and choose new folder. And then from there, just specify what you want the name of this folder to be. So let's say vendors, and click OK. At this point, notice that under your mailbox, a new folder is created with the name vendors. Remember that you can always right click on any specific folder, and if you're constantly using that folder, you can add it to the favorite folders, and it will be listed here on the very top under favorite folders section. If you want to remove it, right click on it and choose remove from the favorite folders list. Setting up your signature for email messages. In order to set up the signature for your email messages, you need to first set up your different signatures, and in order to do that you need to click on Tools, Options, Mail Format, the third tab, and then click on Signatures. Once you click on Signatures, click on New, and then specify the name of this signature. And then in the bottom section of this, specify as to what you want your signature to be. And then you can specify it as to when you want to use this signature. You can use it for just new messages. You can use it for replies as well. You can also attach a business card. And this would be one of your contact information from within Outlook. You can attach a picture, and you can format this using any of the tools here. Once you're done, click OK. Click OK again. And at this point, notice as I create a new message, the signature is entered automatically. Send the message, and as the message arrives, notice the signature. Using the distribution list and the address book. The address book is available from the toolbar on the top. You click on the mail module and then address book. By default, the address book will display the global address book, which is all the accounts in Microsoft Exchange. As of the time of this recording, it's only a few of the accounts. However, later, as we start deploying Exchange out on the different places on campus, more accounts will be added here. So basically, under the global address book, there will be also different other address books, such as the different department administrative assistants, all the different schools, and so on. Notice there is also under Outlook address book, this is your personal address book with the contacts. So you can create and maintain as many addresses as you want. And by the way, those addresses are accessible from any place that you access your Microsoft Outlook and Microsoft Exchange. Another way to access the address book is by clicking on New. Suppose you want to create a new mail message, and then you click on the address book option, and notice you have the same listing. If you wanted to send a message to specifically any people in the address book, you select the name, click on To, select another name, To, and so on. Another key here is that email addresses, again in Outlook, they are separated by semicolons. I click OK. At this point, notice that all the selected email addresses have been inserted, and then you can specify the subject and the content of the message here. And then you press Send. Distribution lists work the same way as well, and you can create your own distribution lists. So you can go to the address book, and the distribution lists for campus-wide distribution lists, they will be displayed in this section here in the center. If somebody has access to create global distribution lists, you can click on, they'll be able to click on File, New, and then Distribution List. By default, the distribution lists will be created under Contacts, which is your personal area or personal address book section of Microsoft Outlook. However, if somebody has global access to the Microsoft Exchange, then they will be able to click on Global Address List, and then enter it right here. In this case, this account does not have access to do that. So I'll click on Contacts, choose New Distribution List, I click OK, and let's say I want to create a distribution list for technology services. So I type the name, hit Enter, and then click on Select Members. I add the specific members by double-clicking on them. And then click OK. Notice these are the different members of it. If you want to add members that are not part of the Microsoft Exchange environment, you can also click on Add New and fill in this information for a new member. Once you're done, click on Save and Close. And notice that under Contacts, again, the key here is to go to the drop-down list and click on Contacts, and here is Technology Services. If I want to double-click on it, that displays the members again. If I want to send them an email, I click on Email, and it will create a new mail message. If I want to see the members of that distribution list, click on the plus sign, and these are the members of that list. I click on the subject, and content here, and press send, and this will send an email to all the members of that distribution list. Again, the key is to remember semicolons to separate the email addresses, and new distribution lists that you create, they're going to be available and accessible under Contacts if you're creating personal ones. Notice the icon for distribution lists is more than one person. Another feature in Microsoft Outlook 2007 is the dragging and dropping of an email into the calendar to create an appointment, or into Contacts to create a contact out of that email. And here's how it works. Let's say that there is this email that I have received from Kaceli, and I want to create an appointment. So I can just drag the mouse or hold it down and drag it onto the calendar. Once I get to the calendar, notice that the new appointment starts getting created. You can specify the time, the starting time, the end time, and then the description. The description contains the contents of that email message. And then all you have to do is you just click on Save and Close, and then an appointment has been created from that email. Another option is you can take this same email and you then drop it into Contacts. And as soon as you let it go on Contacts, notice that it fills out all the information from that email, such as the first name, last name, and email address, and builds a card from it, and also under Notes it puts the contents of that email. And then all you have to do is you just click on Save and Close, and now if I go to Contacts, now I have an additional card in there for that specific person. So the idea here is that you can drag and drop an email to any of calendar, contacts, or tasks. And for example, for tasks, if I select this email and go to tasks, then a new task will be created and you can specify the different other parameters for it. Sending picture or multimedia mail. In order to send picture or multimedia mail, basically what you have to do is first create a new message. So we'll click on Mail and then New, and then just type the address where you want to send the message to. Say skaceli@gmail.com. Then you put in a subject. This is a test message with pictures, etc. And then basically what you need to do to make sure is that under options you need to make sure that your message is marked as HTML. By default, if you are creating a new message, it will be set as such. So make sure that is as HTML, and then go to a website. Let's say we go to pbu.edu and we scroll down, and let's say we want to put part of our email, we want to copy this picture. So I'll right click on the picture, and you can do this with any pictures on the web, and choose copy. Then we'll go to my message here, right click again and choose paste. Notice it is placed in there at this point. And now what I can do as well is we can start writing the rest of the message. So let's say this is a test message. It contains pictures and tables, etc. and so on. Now to make this text fancier and bigger and so on, we click on message and then change the font to be bigger, change the color of the font if we need to change it, and so on. Then what we do here for the picture, remember like in Word we can double click on the picture and get the contextual tools, and notice there are different styles here again that you can use. And also notice the text wrapping. We can change the text wrapping to in line with the text, or behind the text, or in front of the text, or at the bottom of the text, and so on. So you can change this accordingly. Like square, it's basically the text is next to it. And then write some more here. And then press send. That's basically, it's just a matter of going to the website, right clicking on the picture, and then pasting it into the email, while the email is marked as HTML type of message, changing the fonts and so on. You can also click on insert, and you can insert a table or clip art or smart art and that type of thing as well. So let's say I want to choose shapes. I pick any of the shapes here, and again, just like in Microsoft Word, same idea with the contextual tools. You can even spin this any direction that you want to spin it. Again, just a matter of clicking on insert and then choosing the different options that you want. If I want a horizontal line, same idea, and so on. Charts, smart art, and so on. Remember the smart art as well. That's about it for the multimedia or picture mail. From time to time you may want to search for a specific email message rather than having to go through hundreds of emails, and you want to sort out only the message that you're looking for. In this case you can go to the specific folder that you want to search. Let's say I want to go to the inbox. I can either go under my favorite folders or under the inbox on the mailbox folder. And then notice right above the list of messages, you have a search box here where you can type the words that you want to search for. For example, Amazon.com, and then just hit enter. Notice it found one message with Amazon.com. You can do the same thing by going to additional folders and searching for additional messages. An additional component to the search capabilities here is actually you can enable the instant search, which is an add-on module to Microsoft Outlook, which works in conjunction with Windows in searching all your files in the computer. And by default, this component has not been installed in your computers, and it's very similar to the Google desktop search. I personally do not recommend it. It slows down your computer a little bit, but it's up to you if you want to try it and use it. But that is enabled by clicking on Enable Instant Search, and then you can search by the person sending the message, within the body of the message, subject to, and all that type of thing. From time to time you may be out of the office and you may need to set an automatic reply to any new messages coming to your inbox. To do that, you'd click on the email module first, and then click on Tools, and then Out of Office Assistant. By default, the Out of Office Assistant is disabled, and you can enable it by clicking on Send Out of Office Replies. You can also specify the dates that you're going to be out of the office, and it's highly recommended that you do this, because in that way when you come back from the vacation, you'll not have to change this or forget to change it. And then the way it works is that you can set different messages for people within the organization, for emails that are sent from people within the organization, and a separate message for people outside of the organization. So for people within the organization, you can just type in your reply there, and you could say, this is an automatic reply to your message. Thank you for your message. I'll be out of the office until January 10th, 2009. If your need is urgent, please contact me on my cell phone and such. For people outside of the organization, you could have a different message, and with a different message, this would pertain to any messages outside of the pbu.edu domain. You could have this specified so it responds only to your contacts only, meaning in the contact list, or anyone outside of the organization. Remember also, you can change the formatting of this any way you want, and so on. And then once you're done, make sure you click OK, and that's it. Notice that the system tells you that the auto replies are on. Just in case you didn't set the dates, make sure that you go and check that and change that when you return back from the vacation. To disable it, you'd go to Tools, Out of Office Assistant, and just say Do Not Send Automatic Replies. Changing the views for the titles of the messages and the content of the message from the default view in Outlook 2007. Sometimes you may want the messages to be listed on the very top here, then the content of the messages right below, just like in Thunderbird. If you want to change that, you'd click on View, and then click on Reading Pane, and then choose Bottom. By default, it is on the right. You can change it to the bottom. This would be very similar to Thunderbird, and you have the list of messages on the top, and in the bottom half of this screen, of this window, you have the contents of that message. And then to change it back to the way it was, by default you click on View, Reading Pane, and then the right hand side. If you do not like to preview the messages automatically, you can click on Off, and then you'll have just a list of the messages. In that case, to open the messages, you'll need to double click on them to actually open and view the contents of the message. So I'll click on View to change it how it was initially, and then Reading Pane, and then to the right. Another thing you can do if you want to save space on your screen, if you are not constantly using the calendar and contacts and so on options, you can drag this window further down, and then notice you have little icons at this point for the calendar, contacts, and other components of Microsoft Outlook. This way you have more space for your folders. Creating filters and message rules. From time to time, you may want to have specific messages automatically inserted and added to a specific folder. The reason you might want to do this is so that you keep things organized, and the trick here is that you have to go and check that folder for any new messages whenever you have received something. So to activate rules and to create rules, basically you need to click on Tools while you have selected the Mail module, and then you go to Rules and Alerts. Once you're in Rules and Alerts, you click on Email Rules, and then New Rule. You can create rules for new messages from someone to a folder, and as you can read them, there are a lot of different options here. So let's say we want to move messages from someone to a folder. So say apply this rule after the message arrives from people or distribution list. So let's say I say from people or distribution list, then you have to specify from whom. Let's say I want any messages from J. Lee. I'm double clicking on the name here. I want it so that it moves it automatically to a folder, to a specific folder. So if the folder exists, I can specify, let's say, the PBU folder, or if the folder does not exist, then I can click on the mailbox and create a new folder and say J. Lee, and then click OK. Notice a new folder has been created, and then I click OK and click on Next. Then it says, does it have to have only specific criteria from a specific person, or does it have to be when it's marked of a certain importance, sensitivity, and all kinds of other criteria here. So I'm going to leave it just from people as long as it meets the criteria J. Lee, and I click on Next, and then it's going to move it to a specified folder. So you can move it to a specific folder, but at the same time you can also forward it to other people if you want as well. And you can specify who you want to forward it to. So in this case, if the message comes from J. Lee, it's going to forward it to Kurt Winters and also move it to the J. Lee folder. Again, this will apply for any messages coming meeting this criteria. Then you click on Next, and notice you can do exceptions as well. Next, and you can turn on this rule and click on Finish. And then you'd click on Apply or OK, and this rule has now been enabled. Careful when you create such rules, because again, if you specify the wrong option there, if you choose to delete any messages from that specific address, you're not going to see those email messages. So use this with caution. One of the nice features of Microsoft Outlook in conjunction with Microsoft Exchange is the integration of email, calendaring, contacts, tasks, and notes all in one place, and being able to also collaborate with the rest of the university employees. So basically, so far we have covered the email module, and now we'll move on to the calendaring module. So calendar, all you have to do is click on calendar on the left hand side, and by default you'll have the day view for your calendar. And notice you can move to the next day by clicking on the next arrow here. You can view something through the day view, weekly view, which will show you a view of the whole week. If you want the full week, which would be the 7 days, click on show full week, then you can choose just the work week. And then you have the monthly view, which will display the whole month, let's say January 2009. Another key here is that if you want to see the today view, say you are now on January 12th and you want to go to today, just click on today, and that will take you to December 29th, 2008. So that's basically the general views. You have again the day view, week view, month view, and then the today view in the calendar. Creating an event or viewing your schedule and the availability for specific days. So creating an event, it's very straightforward in Microsoft Outlook. You go to the day that you want to create an event, let's say on December 30th or December 31st or any of those days, and you go and select the time that you want to create an appointment, and you specify when you want to start the appointment and so on. So you can just start typing at this point after you have selected Outlook 2007 tutorial. Now at this point you can also double click on it and you can specify the location, you can specify notes, you can specify different other criteria for it. Also whether you're going to show this time as busy or free or tentative, so that when somebody else views this appointment, or they'll see that you are busy or that you are free, and you can move things around. So when you're done, you just click on Save and Close. So again, it's straightforward. Select the area and then start typing. You can also be on weekly view for this or monthly view, so any of those options will work. Another idea, and if you want to check availability or what's going to happen at specific days, what you can do is you can hold the control key. Let's say today is the 29th. If you hold down the control key and let's say you want to see what's happening on the 31st and then on the 5th, notice Outlook is going to give you only those specific days. Again, 29th, 31st, 5th, and 7th. Again, that you do it by holding down the control key and then clicking on specific days that you want to add to view your count. So that's a nice feature for you to check your availability for specific days of the week or of the month and have them side by side. And then from there you can make an appointment. You could say Outlook training. Understanding appointments, meetings, events, and tasks. An appointment is something that you'll be doing on your own. Let's say you have a doctor's visit. You're not going to invite somebody else with you to that specific meeting. A meeting request is when you're going to meet, let's say at 1 o'clock, and discuss a specific item or a specific topic with a group of people, and you want to invite them via Outlook calendaring to attend this meeting, and you want to send them an invitation. Then other events, that could be a day event that you can mark for that specific day, and that could be a whole day event. So here's how it works. Basically what I recommend is that, let's say at 1 o'clock or at 12 o'clock I'm going to go to lunch, and this I'll make it an appointment. So I'm just going to go to lunch, and I right click on the area here at 12 o'clock and choose New Appointment. Once I get to the new appointment area, I click on lunch, and then location. You can specify the location, you can specify the length of it, 1 hour let's say, and then a description. So this involves just one person. There is no need to invite anybody else. And I click on Save and Close. Notice I have lunch 12 to 1. Now at 1 o'clock, supposedly I want to create a meeting and I want to invite other people. The easiest way to do this is by right clicking on this area, let's say 1 to 2, and then choose New Meeting Request. New Meeting Request means I'm going to invite additional people to attend this meeting. So I click on here J. Lee. You can either click on the 2 here and select specific people from the list, or you can even type email addresses as well, even though they may not be part of Exchange. So you could send to somebody outside of campus as well a request for a specific meeting. And then the subject, it could be meeting, location. You specify the start and end time, and you can put some notes here as well. And then all you have to do here, instead of sending an email to Jay at this point, I'm going to take that out. You click on Send, and an invitation will be sent. The person on the other side, they'll get an email and they'll have an accept button, and supposedly I go to my email, it says I have an email from Kaceli, and it says TS training, so on, record tutorial 2007, this is the description, when it's going to take place and so on. And this is how you'll accept or decline or propose a different meeting or a different time for you. So when you get a request from somebody, this is what it will look like, and you'll click on accept, and you can send a response now, or you can edit the response, send, and at this point, note, here is the requested information. It tells you also that you have accepted this at such and such a time, and there are also conflicts with another appointment in your calendar. If I go to my calendar, notice that I have lunch scheduled at the same time. Now I'll show you in a moment on how to check for conflicts and propose meetings at certain times, very similar to what we used to do in Oracle Calendar. Part of these meetings as well, notice that you can create recurring events, and you can create also all-day events as well. Like by clicking on all-day event, it will mark it. And I click on save here. Notice that test all-day event, it will be prior to 8 o'clock. It will be displayed in your weekly view prior to 8 o'clock. So that's how you'll see the all-day events. If you have to modify it, you can at any point open an existing meeting, and of course you can invite other attendees by clicking on invite attendees, and then you can send them an email as well. So even if you just created an appointment that's going to be, it was intended just for you to be attended by just you alone, you can go back to it and change it to invite other people and make this a meeting. So that's the difference between an appointment, single person, and meetings, more than one person meeting together. From time to time, you may want to create appointments or meetings where you want to invite other people to attend that meeting, and at the same time you want to check on their availability when they are all available. So here's how you do it. Basically, go to the specific time. I'm going to go to January 5th, 2009, and from 9 to 10, let's say I want to create an appointment. You can double click on it, or you just right click on it and choose new meeting request. Then you add the people that you want to invite to this specific meeting, very similar to what we did before. Let's say I want to add Steve Weir, I want to add Sal Kaceli, and Jay Lee. Then you specify the subject. Please ignore. The reason for that is because they will actually get an email from me and they will have to confirm it and all that type of thing. Location TC110, and then you can specify setting. Now at this point I want to see whether from 9 to 10 or if there is another better time for us all to meet. To do that, you'd utilize a tool called the scheduling assistant. So you click on the scheduling assistant and notice it shows all 4 calendars here at this point, and it's proposing that for the 5th the available times. There's at 8 o'clock, there's 4 out of 4 are available, or at 8:30, or 9 a.m., 9:30, and 10 a.m. These are the only 4 times that we are all available, or actually 5 times. If you want to add additional people, you can just click on Add Attendee and choose, let's say, Blair Benjamin as well, and it'll add it to the same list as well. So it's still the same time here as well. Then what you do is, so again, you select the date. If you want to meet on the 6th, you have the 6th here and so on. It proposes different available times. You pick the time that works for everybody, and then you click on Appointment. You go back to the appointment. So we switch to Scheduling Assistant for a moment. Then once you are done with the Scheduling Assistant, we go back to the appointment, and then in here you press Send. Once you press Send, it's going to actually send them an email, and they'll have to confirm or reject your proposal for that meeting. So that's all you have to do for that specific appointment. So if I go to the 6th here, there's an appointment that I have proposed and the people that I have invited, and then you'll have the responses will be listed right here, right above the title of the message. This is how you'll know whether somebody is attending the meeting or not attending it. If you have to cancel a meeting, you can actually press cancel here, and you can send them a cancellation as well, cancellation email. Opening other people's shared calendars. It's important to understand here that in order to open somebody else's calendar and view the appointments in it, first you have to send a request to them, and then they have to allow you so that you can view their calendar. By default, the only thing you can see is their busy and free times, but you cannot see as to what they are doing at specific times. So in order for you to open somebody else's calendar, notice that right below the calendar option, there are a couple options here. It says open a shared calendar. So what you have to do is you click on open a shared calendar, then you click on name, and then you select the name of the person that you want to view their calendar. At this point, on this tutorial, I'm working on a TS training calendar. So let's say I want to open the calendar for Kaceli. I double click on it and click OK. At this point, it's going to say you do not have permission to view this calendar. Do you want to ask Kaceli to share his or her calendar with you? So it's not, you don't need to call technology services to allow access to for you to view somebody else's calendar. All you have to do is just send a request, and they will have to confirm your request via an email that will be sent when you press yes to this question. So all you have to do, if let's say you want to view Kaceli's calendar, you just open it, you click on yes, and then you could write a message here. You could write a message and specify, I need to view your calendar. By the way, you can only view it. You cannot make changes to that person's calendar even when they give you permission. In order to do that, for changing and being a delegate of their calendar, it will be another item here that I'll show in a moment. And then once you specify some of the text here, you can click on send, and then Kaceli will receive an email. I will go and confirm it in my other computer here. Allow it. There will be a button for allow it. I say yes. I click OK. And then if I click on open a shared calendar and I go back to Kaceli's calendar, I click OK. Notice at this point I have my own calendar and his calendar as well. So the TS training calendar is here on the left, and then the other calendar on the right hand side. You can do it week by week and so on. So notice, if you don't want to see that other person's calendar any longer, uncheck it and then it will go away, or check it again and they will be together. You can also, on the views here for the calendars, if you right click on the calendar, there's another option where it is view in overlay mode. It's basically putting one calendar on top of the other and giving you the available times. It's not very easy to see it here at this point, but notice this is the overview. Comcast, for example, this is Kaceli's calendar, but they are overlaid one on top of the other. So you could have more than one and overlay them. If you want to undo the overlaying, you can right click and choose view side by side mode. And again, you can uncheck it or check it to keep on adding it. Creating an additional personalized calendar. This is basically, let's say you want for your boss to be able to view your work-related calendar and when you're going to be off and who you're meeting with and all that type of thing. And at other times you want to have a personalized calendar as to with chores and other things that you're going to do around the home. For example, rake the leaves or clean the lawn or whatever else. And you don't want that to be as part of your main calendar. So what you can do is, while in the calendar mode, actually click on New and choose Calendar on the top, and you can say Personal Calendar. Click OK. Now the personal calendar, here you can put different items. And so on. and those will not, this will be your personal calendar, this will be your work-related calendar. You can choose not to give access to anybody to this personalized calendar, and then the one work-related, then your administrative assistant or other people can have access to this specific calendar. So again, it's just a matter of clicking on Calendar, New, on the top left, and then choose Calendar again, and give it a name. That's all you have to do. Sharing your calendar with others. Sometimes you may want to just share your calendar with others. There is no need for you to call technology services again. You can do this on your own. You can click on Calendar, and then click on Share My Calendar, and then you specify who you want to share it with. So I click on To, and let's say I want to share it with Steve Weir, I want to share it with Jay Lee, and so on. Notice you want to share it only with people that you want to allow them to see all the appointment details, because they will be able to see who you are meeting with and all the times and all that type of thing. By default, you're allowing them access to just view your calendar. They cannot make any changes to it. They can propose meetings, but not delegate access to it. So let's say I choose to allow those accounts to have access to my calendar here. I click OK, and then you can also request to view their calendar. Since you're sharing yours, you can allow or request them to view theirs as well. And then you click on Send. That's all you have to do. You can write a description here. You can click on Send. They'll get a request. The permission is going to be a reviewer only or read only, meaning they cannot change things to your calendar. They will only be able to view the times that you're meeting with somebody. Then you click on Yes. And then at this point, your calendar has been shared with other people. So they can actually go and open it by clicking on Open a Shared Calendar. Assigning or allowing delegate permissions to your calendar. From time to time, you may want to have full access to somebody's calendar. For example, administrative assistants to the faculty and department heads and things of that nature. Keep in mind, again, we cannot do this part for you. It has to be the owner of the calendar that can do this. Delegate access means that the person that you give delegate access to, they will have full access to your calendar. They will see all the contents of your calendar, as well as create new appointments and so on. So if you want to give somebody else delegate access, let's say you are the head of the department or you're faculty, and you want to give access to your administrative assistant, this is the procedure that you'll need to follow. You click on Tools, choose Options. So you click on the Delegates tab on the top, on the far right, and then click on Add. You specify the person that you want to have access to your calendar. This is delegate access to your calendar. And let's say you want Kaceli here. Again, I'm working off the TS account here, TS training account. And let's say I want Jay Lee as well to have delegate access to this. I click OK. And notice it says the editor can read, create, and modify items. And this is for the calendar module. For the rest of them, you can just say none if you don't want them to have access to any of those other items. If you want to share the contacts, for example, with your administrative assistant and so on, they will be able to view them, giving the appropriate permission from here. However, just for the calendar, again, you just leave it as it is here under Editor, and then you can click on Automatically Send a Message, and delegates can see my private items as well. That means if an item there in your calendar is marked as private, they can see it if you choose this option. I click OK, and then click on OK again. At this point, the person, let's say the administrative assistant that needs full access to your calendar, all they have to do is they have to go to Open a Shared Calendar, browse for your name, and they will have access to it. Again, since it is Microsoft Exchange, we cannot change these permissions for you unless we take remote control and do it. You'll need to give access to your calendar following this procedure to the people that you want to give access to. An additional important component of Outlook is also the contacts module. So far we have covered the mail module, the calendar module, and then at this point the contacts module. Contacts is basically you can create your listing of the different addresses and contacts, and these will be your personal contacts. These are not shared to anybody else in Microsoft Exchange by default. However, you can choose to share those with other people in your department as well. So to add a new contact, all you have to do is you click on New on the top here after you have chosen Contacts, and then you fill in all this information, and email address, and business telephone number, and home address, and even notes as well. Once you have entered all the information, click on Save and Close, saying that there was one already there, and there it is, and you're done. Basically, you can view those cards different ways. You can click on Address Cards, it will give you a little smaller view, or Detailed Cards, or Phone List, just a listing of them, or by category, by company, and all that type of thing. So I'll go into business cards. What you can do as well is, let's say for Hubert here, you can also add a picture. So you can just double click on it, and then notice there is an area here for adding a contact picture. The nice thing about pictures is that first it will show up in the list of contacts, but then secondly, whenever you receive an email from that specific contact, it will display the picture on the top right for that specific email. Choose, there's one. By the way, this is a picture from the internet, it's not really Hubert. And pick a different picture. But that's basically the way it works. If you want to share the contacts, all you have to do is go under Contacts here and choose Change Sharing Permissions, and then you add a specific person that you want to give access to your contacts. We don't recommend that you share them unless you really want to share your contacts with somebody else. But that's about it as far as contacts. Now notice that you can email them directly from here. You can create an email message, or you can create a business card, or you can follow up with this person. It will add a reminder, let's say to follow up next week. Notice that down here there will be a new entry. Besides the mail, calendar, and contacts module, there is also the tasks module in Outlook. It basically gives you a listing of all the tasks that need to be completed. If you remember from email, you can create a follow-up, let's say by clicking on the message and then choose follow-up tomorrow, this week, or next week, and you can create new tasks from emails, or you can drag an email to the tasks area and it will create a new task for you. And you can do that with contacts, you can do that with calendar items. Let's say I go to this item and I drag it to tasks. That's going to add a new task and create a new task automatically for you. Or you can just simply go to tasks and just start typing a new task and hit enter, and that will create a new task for you. It's right here. Note that once you have completed a task, to mark it as complete, you click on this little flag, and that will mark it as complete. And lastly, the last component of Microsoft Outlook 2007 is the notes module. This is basically where you can create new notes for specific items and specific, so you could say complete Outlook tutorial. So these notes are for you. You can move them on the desktop, or you can just have them listed in here. Suppose you're going on a mission trip and you got donations from 20 or 30 people for that mission trip. Now what you can do, very similar to what you did in Microsoft Word, you can send them personalized letters using generating the actual letters, envelopes, and also labels, as we learned in the Microsoft Word tutorial. However, using Microsoft Outlook 2007, you can actually generate customized email messages. And this is how you do it. Basically, you record all the customers that gave you some kind of donation to go on that mission trip. So you record their first name, last name, also the email address, because we are going to generate customized email messages in this case. You can record also their address, city and state and zip and so on for other purposes, but you don't need it for the actual email in this case. And then you can record the amount, the date, and some kind of comments in order to personalize your email message just for that specific person. It's important also to understand that these lists, you don't have to create it from scratch if you're doing this for incoming students or prospective students or some kind of other lists that you have, or your class for grades and things of that nature. You can get those lists from any of the campus systems that we have from Power Campus or other databases on campus that we have. So in any case, you record all these names and also the email addresses. For the sake of testing, I'm using my email address multiple times here. However, if you're doing this for real, you'd have the correct email address. So you record those names and addresses, and then we'll save this spreadsheet. Notice it's going to be saved as mission trip donations. Then you go into Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word, notice it's very familiar to what we were used to using before. And then we go under Mailings, and then you'd click on Start Mail Merge. Notice that the icons here on my ribbon look a little bit smaller. That's because of I'm recording this so it will display in any type of resolution in any type of monitor out there. So it's a little smaller. But you'll click on Start Mail Merge, and then I recommend that you use Step-by-Step Mail Merge Wizard. On the Step-by-Step Mail Merge Wizard, basically you click on the second option here under Email Messages, and then click on Start the Document. At this point, you'll just start using either the current document, or you can use an existing document. Let's say you had a newsletter, or you had some kind of predefined letter that you have used from before. You just use the previous one. In our case, we're going to start with a blank document using the current document that I have here. Then the next step is step 2 out of 6. It says click on selecting the recipients. Selecting the recipients, you could use Outlook Contacts, which I'll do a different tutorial for this, or in our case I'll just use an existing list that I have from Excel. So I'll click on Browse to use an existing list, and then I'll go under my documents, I'll go where I have my list, and here's the mission trip donations that we just created a little bit ago. I'll double click on it, and at this point it says which sheet do you want to use. As you know, in Microsoft Excel there are different sheets, but notice that I have all these addresses on sheet 1. Therefore I'll choose sheet 1 and click on OK. At this point, notice that it has all the different names that exist in Excel. You can also filter those, sort them out, uncheck specific recipients if you don't want them to receive that, and then you'd click on OK. Then you click on the next step. So step 2 was selecting the recipient, step 1 was selecting the document, and step 3 is to write the actual email message. So you click on write your email message, and then at this point you just write your email message. This will be not the subject at this point, it will be the actual content of that email. So you'll say dear, and then you want the computer to put the first name of that donor. And then you'll click on Insert Mail Merge Field, and then choose first name. And then click on Close. We put a comma here and we say, thank you for your recent gift of, and you want the computer to put in the actual amount there. So we go under Insert Field, and then you choose the actual amount. And then you keep on writing your letter, received on, and then the computer for that specific customer, it's going to put the actual date that you received this amount. So thank you for your recent gift of let's say $30 received on date such and such, supporting my missions trip to France. And then right next to it, right below this paragraph, you could also put your comments field. This would even make it more personalized. So you could put comments, insert, and then you could incorporate as well other fields if you need to, but you don't have to use all the fields like the address and so on. And then you could say thank you and your name. So this will be the content of your message. You can format this a little bit better. You can make the different fields, let's say the amount, so it stands out. You can make that bold, and the comments if you wanted to make it bold as well. At this point also you could add a picture or some kind of image or some kind of as part of your email as well, and it'll put in every email that it'll send, it'll put that picture as part of it. So let's say I go to clip art here, and so at this point we are basically done with our email, with part of it. We have the different fields, we have also a picture that will be sent to every recipient. Then we click on preview your email message. This is how it will look. It will say, Dear Sally, thank you for your recent gift of $25, not 25,000, received on such and such a date, and so on. And you can preview it for each one of your recipients. Then we click on complete the merge, and then we choose on step 6, we click on electronic mail. This is where it's going to merge it to email. So you want to send it which field to use for the email addresses, so you'll choose the email field, and this is from Excel. Again, it's this one, it says email. And then the subject line, this is be the subject of the message, the title of your message that they will receive, and you'll say thank you for your support, etc. And then the mail format, in order for them to view this message, this clip art image that you inserted as part of your email, you need to make sure that the actual mail format is HTML. You don't want to do it probably as an attachment. And then send records, it's going to send it to all in that list. And then I click OK. And notice it's generating an email automatically for every single user in that list. So at this point, once it has finished, if we go back to Outlook and I send those to myself, we'll notice that there's a whole bunch of messages that I have received, and if these email addresses were unique, then they would have been for every recipient out there. So let's go back to Outlook. And now notice I'm back in Outlook here, and notice I have received a whole bunch of email messages. It says thank you for your support, and notice it says Dear Marley, and it has all the amount individually for each email message. So as you see, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is create a list in Excel, go into Microsoft Word, choose email messages, type in your email, merge the fields, and you're done. I would strongly recommend you start considering using this, as it saves resources and it's very powerful in what you can achieve with it.